Is Fetch becoming too centralized? And with it, also the ASI Alliance? We'll look at that and all the other interesting decentralized AI news that are going on. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. And I say, let's jump right into it. And let's jump right into this post here. So I just saw this post today in the morning, actually, so I could not do that much research around how all of that works. But let's go through this. So first of all, there's a post from geostaking. Let's just look at geostaking for just a second here before we read through that. What is geostaking? Geostaking is, as you can see here, stake your FET tokens on the Fetch AI mainnet and start earning passive income today. Our validator node is powered by 100% renewable energy in Iceland. So geostaking is a FET validator from Iceland, apparently 100% renewable energy from Iceland. But yeah, the important thing is it's a FET validator. So they probably have a bit of knowledge about what they are talking. So now let's jump into their post over here. And they are saying, we maybe should have a look at this. We shouldn't maybe not be that concerned, but it's starting to get a little bit fishy over here. So let's read that. Fetch AI network is becoming more centralized in voting staking power. And we'd like to call the Fetch AI and ASI Alliance accounts into action. With just shy of 66.6% of power in the hands of so few, this poses a notable security threat to the network consensus. We think it's in the best interest of the community for the ASI team to create a decentralization campaign, calling for everyone to redelegate outside of the top 10, as they did roughly 3 years ago, which resulted in much success that has sadly now been mostly reversed. So this is about the Fetch chain, to be clear here, not necessarily about the ASI chain and about the ASI token, and we will talk a second why this distinction is maybe important. But yeah, I have no idea about this campaign or what happened here, and I'm also not 100% sure how the Fetch staking delegation and everything is working over there. And I didn't have enough time to do proper research into that. So I can just read what they are saying here. And then they posted this graphic here, which is also quite interesting. So as you can see here, there's a growing centralization of the Fetch AI network, soon to be ASI network. And as you can see here, the top 10 validators in red here own 66.3%, whereas the other 60 validators only 33.8%. Which is obviously not the best distribution, right? So decentralizing this a little bit more. By the way, why did I not repost it? Let's also repost this here, because this is actually very important. But when we now come to the ASI Alliance, and yes, the FET token is turning or has turned into the ASI token. The token with the ticker FET is the ASI token, but probably not everything is fully fleshed out over there in terms of how this is ultimately going to work, because I am pretty sure I would need to rewatch my own video, because I think in the vision papers I talk more about this, and I'm pretty sure they talk about how they will also adopt the proof of reputation consensus mechanism from SingularityNet. Right, SingularityNet is using for many things a proof of reputation, which means if you have been a validator for a long time and have always been doing good work, you have behaved according to the rules of the network and everything, your reputation grows. And when your reputation grows, your voice becomes a larger impact, no matter how many tokens you stake, right? Proof of reputation, which I think is a great and important concept, especially for the development of decentralized AI and AGI systems. And I'm pretty sure that the ASI token in the future will also implement this proof of reputation more and more. So I'm not sure how much of an issue this will ultimately be for the ASI Alliance. when this is fully fleshed out, but it's still something that we definitely need to keep an eye on and that we should be not concerned about, but definitely should be aware of, and also maybe bring to the attention of the ASI Alliance and the Fetch networks that, yes, hey, we want definitely good decentralization going on here. So if you are on X, head over to geostaking or head over to my account, Philip Wiesel at just_Philip, and then repost that. You can also find that on my page and then repost that so that, yeah, Fetch AI and the ASI Alliance are becoming aware of this, and that, yeah, a decentralization campaign would probably be a good thing to push forward or to start at this point in time. Again, in my opinion, at the moment, this is nothing to be too concerned about. And I think for the ASI token, when this is all fully fleshed out and has gone through all the phases, there we'll also have the implementation of proof of reputation. So this becomes even less of an issue, but it's still something to be aware of and to, yeah, bring to the attention of Fetch and the ASI Alliance and everybody that, hey, yes, the community is aware of this. You should also be aware of this. We want decentralization that looks better than, yeah, 66.3% being in the hands of the top 10 validators, which is really a huge, huge number that doesn't look that good, to be honest, when it comes to decentralization. So yeah, head over to X, repost that, and let's move on into the next thing here, which is this one over here. So yeah, this small post from Fetch AI, we'll jump into that pretty in just a second, but yeah, they are sharing here exciting news. Fetch AI's tech is featured in a new research paper on autonomous supply chains, ASC, with Cambridge Uni, and our co-author Maria Minarikova discover how ASCs can revolutionize supply chains. And this is actually pretty cool, and also, in my opinion, kind of a big deal. If we move on to the actual paper over here, now I will not go through the whole paper because, well, it's quite long, okay? It's a quite long paper. Maybe I'll make a dedicated video about it once at one point, but yeah, as you can see here, the paper, very long, very extensive with a case study and everything. But let's read through the abstract and introduction here real quick through the most important things. So the need for organizations to establish more resilient and flexible supply chains to address these challenges, the concept of the autonomous supply chain, ASC, characterized by predictive and self-decision-making capabilities, has recently emerged as a promising solution. Traditional supply chains exhibit limited agility and resilience, with over 70% of surveyed supply chain leaders acknowledging the need for enhanced agility and operational resilience. The model of autonomous supply chains, ASC, has been proposed as a concept solution to achieve supply chain resilience and structural flexibility. ASCs emphasize interconnection, integration, automation, and self-decision-making. Within this framework, the supply chain has capacity to predict disruptions and automatically adapt to changes through reconfiguration and adjustments. Consequently, ASCs offer a promising solution to address challenges in an uncertain and turbulent business environment. And this is pretty cool because this is innovative and kind of, yeah. So there's no case study or anything that looks at ASCs and how they work. This is basically the first one. They did a whole case study. They implemented the ASC supply chains. Now, I did not read through the whole paper. I had Claude 3.5 read through the whole paper and summarize it for me. I will read through it eventually. But yeah, they are using Fetch technology here. So agentic technology, Fetch AI's agents for also what they are talking about here, self-decision-making, automatically adapting to changes, and things like that. This is all agentic behavior from Fetch AI. So for this whole case study, they've implemented Fetch technology, Fetch agents into the, basically built the ASC with it and then made the whole case study. So this is pretty cool that Fetch AI, as basically first in the world, has a case study like this. And this makes me, again, incredibly bullish for the future of Fetch and the whole ASI Alliance, because it's really moving forward and getting implemented in many different fields and many different areas. And you really can see the importance of this. Like, we as a normal everyday user think about, yes, we will have an AI, and then we want to talk with this AI, and we want this AI to be intelligent, to have great conversations with an actual intelligence, right? Like with a chatbot, with an LLM. This is what we think about. But there's so much more behind all of this. Just look at this. Like, supply chain management is incredibly important and such a critical topic, and such a great topic for blockchain. And now not just for blockchain, but for blockchain AI interconnected implementation. And this ASCs or ASCs are a huge opportunity and a huge chance for Fetch to be, or to have major implementation in the economy of the world, if you will, right? Obviously it starts small, but this could revolutionize supply chain management in the future. So I'm really pumped about that, really hyped about that. And yeah, again, it makes me incredibly bullish. At one point, I'll probably make a dedicated video about this article, okay? At one point, I'll probably make a dedicated video where I break this whole research paper down, not article, but research paper. But again, for this live, it's, as you can see here, maybe a little bit too long. So just that much about this. All right, moving on here into the next thing. Right over here. So SingularityNet and ALMA action lodgement leverage AI through knowledge graphs in the construction industry. So this is a quite interesting article. Maybe it's not that exciting for most of us, but yeah, again, still it's quite interesting, and it's another partnership of SingularityNet. So you can really see how not just SingularityNet, but basically Fetch AI, the whole ASI Alliance, makes new partnerships left and right and center, right, everywhere, which again is incredibly bullish and makes me really hyped. And it just shows how much credibility and how much, what's the right word in English? How much trust all of these companies place in the development of the future AI and AGI systems of the ASI Alliance. So ALMA Action Lodgement are collaborating on the Better Homes for All digital twin ecosystem project. The first eco-district, ALMA Home Flower Village, comprising 240 homes, serves as a pilot project utilizing AI and digital tools. It aims to innovate and experiment to scale up sustainable urban development projects. The Better Homes for All Digital Twins project aims to innovate on the affordable and sustainable housing value chain for healthy smart homes. And this is basically what they will implement SingularityNet for, to build smart homes, in essence. This collaboration aims to tackle the sustainable, affordable housing challenge by integrating artificial intelligence, blockchain, and tokenization within the construction and real estate industry. Data interoperability remains a challenge in the construction industry due to proprietary data schemas and heterogeneous data sources. SingularityNet proposes creating a knowledge layer for smart buildings, where a metagraph, a graph of graphs, I have more about that in my Hyperon breakdown video, will enable more intelligent querying and analysis of building information. The goal is to establish a consistent knowledge graph of materials across the construction industry, providing transparent and trustworthy data provenance, and potentially enabling generative building design. So yeah, this is, again, maybe not as interesting for most of you here, but still pretty cool to note that, and it just goes hand in hand with what I just said earlier about Fetch being implemented in the broader economy, right? And now you see it here also with Singularity Net being implemented in real estate and smart homes. So the use cases are so much broader than we as a end consumer of language models who want a chatbot that they can chat with can even fathom here, right? So it's really great where all of this is going. They are being implemented in many, many more industries. Again, left, right, and center, everywhere it's getting used. So it makes me incredibly bullish for the future of the ASI Alliance. And by the way, how are you all doing today? Are you having a great day? I hope so. It's so hot today again. I mean, not so incredibly hot that I need to sit here like this the whole time, and I can have my fan on and it's okay. But yeah, it's again pretty hot. So maybe the summer becomes a second air and has a little bit of a sprint. That would be nice, because summer this year so far has been, well, it has been not the best, at least over here in Germany. All right. Good. Let's jump into this here, and this is just an interesting conversation with Gregory Stork about LLMs and the future of AGI. And I have a few scenes here that I want to play for you and play with you and look at with you. So let's listen to this, where it talks about LLMs and how many people see LLMs as so sophisticated, and they need to be, they are for sure conscious because they have such great output. And oh my God, LLMs are so amazing and great. And let's see what he says about it, because I think that's pretty interesting.
Advancing to something like large language models that people look at it and go, oh my God, this feels conscious in some way. And yet we know it's just the prediction of the next token, the next word. It's nothing near to consciousness, but it's an evocation of it because it captures the embedded human consciousness and experience, which is embedded into language, and it takes that language and it evokes it in powerful conversational ways that we go, oh my God, this is amazing. There must be awareness there. To me, it says something very different. It says that,
and this, pay attention here, because this is incredible what he says, and makes a lot of sense to me, because yeah, again, so many people see LLMs and they have output, right? It's just token prediction. We know that. It's just predicting the next most likely token in a sequence, right? And people go crazy over this and say, oh my God, of course, this is AGI. This must be consciousness. It's so amazing. It's so sophisticated. This is basically another intelligent individual that I can talk with. Right, and now what he says there, well, for him, it's something different. It's more like,
maybe it feels so human and feels so indistinguishable from human conversation, and we project consciousness and awareness in it because we're a lot less conscious than we really think we are. In that, when you step back and you really look at the conversations you have with most people, they're a little snippet that they got from CNN and something they heard at a dinner party, and you try and go more deeply and they don't really have a clue as to what they're talking about. So they do the same things that the large language models do, but not quite as well. They're not as versatile. So they go, oh my God, these large language models are amazing. And it's because,
yeah. So as you can see here, and this makes so much sense for me, because I mean, really, when you talk with most people, and no offense here to anyone, but I very often get this feeling, what he just described. Yeah, there's a snippet from the news, and then there's a snippet from what the person said at work, and maybe there's another snippet from a family member or from whatever, and this is the whole personality. This is all there is. No offense to anyone here, but I noticed this quite a lot, right? And there are no deeper thoughts going on in these people, and it's incredible to I have that. Let me know if you have this maybe sometimes as well. But I have it very often, and sometimes I have it that I'm in a group with people and we talk about things, and then someone says something, that for me is like blatantly obvious that I don't even think about mentioning it. And everybody goes, oh my God, you are so deep. How could you say that? Oh my God, how deep are you? And I am sitting there and I'm like, are you serious? Really? Like this is a level here that we are conversing on. I mean, this is yeah. So this is very, very scary to me sometimes, actually. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense what he says, that people like this, who really their life or their personality consists out of what they're seeing in the news and what they're seeing at work, and like the very surface level conversations that they have, that they see an LLM and they feel like, oh my God, this is consciousness. This must be basically another human being, right? Makes a lot of sense what he's saying here. And yeah, I thought this was pretty funny. And again, no offense to anybody. If you're happy with what you're doing, then this is always the most important thing. But yeah, still. And I don't expect you or my audience or anyone watching here to be like this kind of shallow. I definitely don't think you are. Yeah, but even if you know people like this, or I know people like this, like it's nothing bad, right? I don't want to say it's something bad. It's just something where I often feel a little bit okay, right? It's a little bit shallow for me. Let's say it like this. It's just not for me. It's nothing bad inherently, because right, the most important thing is always that that whatever you do in your life, it works for you, right? That's the only thing that matters in the end. Good. But moving on here into the next interesting thing that he says, where he talks about super intelligence and how super intelligence might, or how we might feel like for super intelligence once super intelligence exists. So where was it? It was right around here.
Because if you think of interacting with a super intelligence, and I'm convinced that will be not so far away, what would that be like? Well, if you think of an IQ of 1,000 or whatever that would be, it doesn't really mean anything. You can't really think of something very bright. It doesn't feel very threatening. But if you think of computational speed and imagine what it would be like to interact with something that thinks so much more rapidly than we do and more deeply, I like to think of that in terms of the computational pace, so that what it would be like to be the computer, the AI, the AGI inside of an interface, a screen, watching us as, the person interacting with them, typing in their question or whatever, and they're thinking and engaging in 1,000 conversations or 100,000 conversations. Meanwhile, they keep looking back and we're like this. Very, like super slow motion.
Right. So when you think about it, right, when we really have a super intelligence, like kind of thousands, tens of thousands of conversations at the same time everywhere, like let's say an IQ of 1,000 or whatever it is, this is like, for us, it's not imaginable because it's so far away. But if we really think about how would it look like for the super intelligence, like the super slow motion, it makes a lot of sense for me. And I thought that was pretty interesting and funny.
It very, very slowly. So the idea to think that we're going to be able to outfox such creatures, such entities, or somehow shape them, these emergent entities that are at another level of organizational complexity and depth, is absurd. I mean, we're going to be these slow moving creatures. And I think when you think in that way, it makes it very graphic and very real what it's going to be like to, when these sorts of things emerge in the not too distant future. And who the hell knows where they're going to lead us. I actually think it'll be places that are very, very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, again, another thing that I also said in a few videos, and also, for example, Charles Hoskinson and others talked about this as well. When we really achieve AGI or even ASI, it's ridiculous to think about that we can be in control of that, because they will just be so far beyond us, like so far beyond of what we can even comprehend if this really happens at one point, right? If we really achieve that. So the best thing we can really do, which is exactly what the ASI Alliance is doing, and what Dr. Van Gorsel talks about a lot, is to giving them the right foundation, to start with them, having them do beneficial and good things, like longevity research, for example, and not use them for anything malicious like suppressions of opinions, like propaganda, things like that, you know? So yeah, that was just a very, very interesting, cool video interview here. Alrighty, let's move on into the next thing, which is BitTensor. And a few news. So you all know there was a BitTensor hack and it was annoying, and then they fixed it and all the stuff. And now they made a few security updates to everything. So as you can see here, big security upgrades and successful integration of ledger support in DevNet. Major efforts underway to claw back a substantial amount of tau from exchanges post-attack. This and more in our latest community Q&A. And let's just watch through this brief snippet here, which is also interesting.
We've been really pushing super hard behind the scenes. In fact, I would say that this event has invigorated a lot of the I know people in this community, but specifically the engineers at OpenTensor, including myself. We've been coding and having a pretty awesome time pushing features that are all in DevNet. So we have ledger support. We have child keys on DevNet. That's a security upgrade. We've also secured the hot and cold key swap. There's a new version of that that we think is even safer and better for the chain. There's a chain bloat upgrade that's going to reduce the chain bloat by 1000x. The speed at which the chain is increasing in size. And also we're moving away from delegates.json. So we're just slowly wrapping up every piece of surface area that could be an attack vector. We're adding technological innovations to the chain to make sure that people are secure. And this is both for security and also for decentralization of the chain. OpenTensor doesn't want to do this forever, and our intention is to disappear and take all of the technologies that we're building and distribute them out into the open source. So I want to talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, so to this last point here, what he is saying, the OpenTensor Foundation is what is taking care of BitTensor right now. And they are really making a lot of efforts to make it more secure and safe for everybody. And what he is saying there is they don't want to do this forever, because obviously the goal is that they are not even able to do this forever because it is completely decentralized, right? And it's in the hands of the community. And in order to do these things, there would need to come a lot of validators all together. So as of now, obviously, because it's still under development, the OpenTensor Foundation has basically most of the control. And they're making sure that everything is safe, everything is secure. We're working it so that these hacks that have happened, the hack that has happened, not multiple, just one, will not happen in the future. And then when it is all secure and ready and so forth, then they will push decentralization further and further. It's also important to realize that I see so many people commenting under this and also after the hack when they put the blockchain in safe mode. And these people are, I don't want to say dumb, but they are just very ignorant and very uninformed. Because decentralization is always a spectrum. And when a project starts, obviously it starts centralized. A project cannot start decentralized. That doesn't make any sense. It's practically impossible for a project to start decentralized. Decentralization is the spectrum and moves forward when the project matures. And obviously, in the beginning, there needs to be a developer that develops everything and looks out for everything, which is what the OpenTensor Foundation does with BitTensor. And then decentralization moves forward more and more as the project matures and progresses. So yeah, and if you don't understand that, I'm sure that no one watching this will not understand that, because I have the most amazing and most intelligent audience on YouTube. But if you don't understand that, then you really need to do a little bit of research, and you are quite ignorant, and you really need to do something about that. And you need to start thinking before making conclusions, okay? You need to start thinking before coming to conclusions, or at least thinking a little bit more in depth. All right. And then, I don't know if you saw my community wall this week, but I have a question for you. So theoretically, if you could ask Vita Potapova, I hope I pronounced his name right, Potapova, Hyperon project manager, right? Vita Popatova is the Hyperon project manager, OpenCog Hyperon, the AGI approach of the ASI Alliance. If you could ask her any question about OpenCog Hyperon, what would you ask her? Now, this is just theory, and I cannot promise everything, but hey, maybe you want to let me know something, what you would ask her. Maybe you want to go to this post and maybe you want to comment. And maybe you want to comment, hey, theoretically, if I could ask Vita something, I would ask her this about Hyperon. What questions about Hyperon do you have? What questions about the AGI approach of the ASI Alliance do you have? What do you want to know? Theoretically. Again, no promises, but maybe there's coming something. There's coming something for you in the future. No promises yet, but maybe there's coming something. So yeah, you maybe want to head over to my community wall and you want to ask your questions as a comment, just so I am aware of that. And then, yeah, well, let's see what happens with that in the future. All right. But again, only theoretically for now. But let's move on to the next. And I think this year was pretty cool. And I really love Switzerland even more for that. And probably at one point I'll need to move to Switzerland because it just seems like it's the best country, or maybe one pretty good country to live with everything that's going on there. So Switzerland federal government requires releasing its software as open source. Required. It's a requirement. It's not optional. They have to release all of their software open source. Several European countries are betting on open source software. In the United States, not so much. Now, again, this is what the article says. I cannot speak about this. This new law requires all public bodies to disclose the source code of software developed by or for them useless unless third-party rights or security concerns prevent it, right? Obviously, these are other things, third-party rights or security concerns, but if this is not in the way, everything have to disclose open source. This public code approach aims to enhance government operations, transparency, security, and efficiency. The proprietary legal software company Weblaw wasn't happy about this. Assholes. There were heated political and legal fights for more than a decade. Think about this, more than a decade. Finally, the IMPERSONATORS which is the law, right, was passed in 2023. Now, the law not only allows the release of OSS by the Swiss government or its contractors, but also requires, right? It requires the code to be released under an open source license, unless the rights of third parties or security-related reasons would exclude or restrict this. And this is so incredibly cool to me. Right, this should be in every freaking country. Obviously, the government should be completely transparent. Every government should be completely transparent for the citizen. Obviously, unless third parties or security concerns are involved, right? But aside from that, everything should be completely transparent for the citizen. As a citizen, I have to be able to look through everything transparently that the government does. Why? Because the government is my employee, basically. The government is my servant, basically. The government is there to serve its citizens. At least that's what it should do in a democracy, which I am not really sure many governments really still see that way, which is very concerning, but this is a topic for a different video and maybe also for a different channel. Maybe also for a different channel. All right. So the IMPERSONATORS also requires the release of non-personal and non-security sensitive government data. That's open government data, right? And this is also, again, the government should be completely transparent for every citizen because it's a servant of the citizen. So government data should be released completely, obviously, unless third parties or security issues, right? That goes without saying. This dual open by default approach marks a significant paradigm shift towards greater openness, right? And this is what it should be. So I thought this was a pretty cool article, and I think this is pretty amazing. And yeah, the whole world should work like that. Good. Moving on here into a few other things that I found very interesting this year, for example. AI training costs are growing exponentially. And then IBM talks about quantum computing stuff, but yes, let's just talk about this a little bit. More important, AI training costs are growing exponentially. So earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal reported that a third of nuclear power plants are in talks with tech companies to power their new data centers. Imagine that. A third of all nuclear power plants are in talks with tech companies just to power the data centers of tech companies. A third. So AI is going to drive a 160% increase in power usage by data centers from now until 2030. Now, I thought this number wasn't that surprising, right? 160% increase in 6 years, right? I don't think this is a shocking number at all. Like 160, it's not even doubling, right? It's a little bit more than 1.5ing, right? 1.6ing. So I don't think in 6 years this is a very shocking number, but oh well. Each ChatGPT query is estimated to take at least 10 times as much energy as a Google search. And this is pretty crazy, actually. 10 times as much as a Google. Now, I have no idea how much energy a Google search costs, but 10 times as much energy still sounds, at least if they write it like this, right? We always need to be careful. If they write it like this, it sounds like a lot. But then again, we don't know how much energy a Google search costs. So let's just say it's 0. Well, 10 times of 0 is 0. So yeah, but if they write it like this, it definitely sounds like a lot. But still, always take things like this with a grain of salt and yeah, think a bit critically. So yeah, you just would need to find that out, but it still sounds like a lot. Will the exponentially growing cost of training AI models ultimately limit the potential of AI? Question mark. Will it? Somewhere between 2029 and 2031, the cost of resources to train a single model one time will surpass the US GDP. Obviously, this is speculation, but yeah, maybe it makes sense. So, who knows? It's speculation at this point, but if this would be the case, it's freaking incredible. Training a foundation model surpasses the whole US GDP? Oh, it's a bit expensive. Is there something about this technology that needs to be dramatically altered in order for us to make it universally accessible? I don't know. Is there something that needs to be altered about the centralized development of these technologies to make it universally accessible? I am not sure. Do you know? Do you have an idea? Is there something that comes to your mind that maybe would need to be universally altered in the centralized approach? Oh, I have an idea. How about making it decentralized? No, anyway. So, but again, this is also pretty cool because just imagine what NuNet is doing, decentralized compute. Imagine how much unused computing and processing power is there across the entire globe, right? If you want to express that in a numbers value, I am sure it is worth more than the yearly GDP of the US, right? All the compute that exists right now in the entire world and is not necessarily used at any point, right? Easily worth more than the GDP of the US in a year. So yes, hey, there's a solution to the issue. Tap into the unrealized processing power of people all around the world, which is exactly what NuNet is doing with the ASI Alliance and decentralization. So yeah, again, another confirmation that we are on the right path here. And then they're also talking about alternative chips. For example, they have released their own silicon tranium. Tranium? Is tranium a molecule? Why would I know? I just studied chemistry. But anyway, which can be many times more efficient versus alternative options. And this also, right, along with this sentence, everything they write up here doesn't make as much sense to me. When they make these crazy predictions of it's going to cost so much and so much energy cost and it's going so high, and then a few sentences later, they already talk about more efficient chips, right? What do you think? How many more efficient chips and how more efficient can the chips be 6 years from now? It seems like they completely forgot about that technology also advances in this time. Not just the need for more energy and for more data will become greater. No, also technology advances in this time. So what it seems like is that they're calculating the greater need in 6 years, but they are estimating the same resources that we have today. How, in what world does that make any sense? Obviously, if you're calculating for a need in 6 years, you also need to take into account the advancements in resources in 6 years. How are they not doing this? What kind of articles? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I think they just want to talk about quantum computing here. So yeah, IBM is actively researching vast potential of quantum machine learning. It's going to be CPUs plus GPUs plus OPs working together and differentiating between the different pieces of the workflow, she said. We need to push the quantum technology to get to a point where we can run the circuits that we are talking about, where we think we are going to bring that sort of exponential speed up, polynomial speed up. So yeah, that's basically it. They talk a bit about quantum computing here, and quantum computing is pretty cool, don't get me wrong. And we'll see how it develops in 6 years. We'll see. The huge issue with quantum computing is, well, the energy cost, because you need to cool it down like crazy. Because if you make quantum computing, if you have a quantum computer, you need the particles to move very slowly. So you need to cool it down a lot. At least that's how I understand it so far. I'm not that deep into it. So yeah. But yeah, there's another thing, another approach, other chips, quantum computing maybe. So yeah, this article it's just badly written. It's just badly written because in the beginning they talk about, oh, in 6 years, so much more data, so much more energy cost, and this and that. And they completely forget to also mention, oh yes, in 6 years technology will also advance, and then they somehow still mention it later in the article and negating what they said in the beginning. So yeah, whatever, but still I thought this was quite interesting to think about. Now this year was also pretty interesting. Oh no, let's first get into this because I thought this was pretty cool. And I love Leonardo, and Canva acquires Leonardo AI image startup to bolster generative offerings. And I love Canva. I use Canva for many things because I am not graphically very sophisticated. So I I use Canva for all the stuff that I do. And that Canva just acquired Leonardo is freaking amazing. Leonardo is one of my favorite image generators. Of course, my favorite image generator is Midjourney. I just love to use Midjourney because it's also a bit easier than Leonardo. Leonardo is quite complex. There's a lot you can do, a lot you can do, but it's based on stable diffusions, and there are a lot of settings where you can fine-tune things. But Leonardo now being acquired by Canva is amazing. And by the way, the cool thing about Leonardo is that Leonardo still has its free credit system, right? You get daily free credits that you can use. Now, you cannot make hundreds of generations a day, but 10 to 20, right? 10 to 20 free generations every day. And you have full rights for that. You can use them for whatever. So this is pretty cool. And I think it's pretty cool that Canva acquired now Leonardo. So I was very, very excited about this story. So as you can see here, Canva has confirmed that Leonardo's entire 120 strong workforce, including AI researchers and the executive team, will join its AI team. 120 strong workforce. This is pretty impressive, man. They will work toward integrating Leonardo's proprietary tech and Phemex foundation model into Canva's suite of AI products. Within just 2 years of launch and subsequent updates, Leonardo made waves in the highly competitive creative AI space, dominated by the likes of Midjourney and Adobe, and roped in 90 million users who have cumulatively generated over 1 billion images. So this is quite a big deal. According to the creative major, it will help Leonardo with training advanced models, but no Canva user content will be shared with the startup unless Canva users have chosen to expressly opt in. I hope they stand by that, because we all know the shit show that Adobe has faced since the whole Firefly training disaster. But hopefully this will not happen with anything with Canva. And they say here, no, we will explicitly ask you. We will explicitly ask you if you want that, and if not, then not, which is a fair approach, obviously. The company's technology, including the Phemex model, will be integrated with Canva's Magic Studio of AI features in the coming months. This will allow over 190 million users of the creative platform instant access to the novel technology. So yeah, pretty cool story. I think this was pretty amazing. And I am, for one, looking forward to using Leonardo within Canva. And now let's head over here. And this was also pretty cool story, I have to say. Let's go through this here. So it talks about how LLMs can do a lot of stuff, and how when you use LLMs, you risk getting dumber because you rely more and more on LLMs instead of your own thinking. So you over time get dumber and can do less because you rely more and more on LLMs. And starts out by talking about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity, by the way, is one of my favorite topics overall, because I, as you maybe many of you know, work as a coach, and neuroplasticity is something that I utilize very often when helping people to heal trauma, resolve trauma, things like that, or let go of deep ingrained negative emotional experiences. But anyway, that just as a side note. But here, neuroplasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to recognize itself and to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, and it's fundamental to our cognitive development and adaptability. However, in the area of AI and large language models, LLMs, this natural process faces unprecedented challenges. Convenience is not without its potential risks. The remarkable capabilities of LLMs can lead to over-reliance, in which we depend on them for even the smallest tasks, such as debugging or writing code, without fully processing the information ourselves. Over time, this can stagnate and eventually diminish our cognitive abilities. When precise, so if you just rely on the LLMs, then this can diminish your, it doesn't have to, but it can, if you really just rely on LLMs and don't do stuff yourself anymore, and don't use your brain yourself anymore, and don't think for yourself anymore. And when I say think, I don't just mean like think, but I mean really think through things and have thoughts about things that go deeper than just basically what we talked about in the beginning, right? With the YouTube video and the interview. When precise answers are readily available and tailored exactly to our prompts, the need for independent research diminishes. This can exacerbate imposter syndrome, causing us to doubt our abilities. It's weird sometimes, because often I'm just used to reading words. But not to saying them out loud. But anyway, causing us to doubt our abilities and curbing our natural curiosity. Risk of LLMs summarizing incorrect information based on the context of the prompt and the data they were trained on, which can lead to misinformation and further dependency issues. Obviously, hallucination of LLMs is always a risk. So when we go on here, a few strategies to reduce over-reliance on LLMs. What can you do? What are things? How can you work with LLMs? And for me, most of these things seem pretty self-explanatory and exactly how I have been working with LLMs in the past. But let's go through them. Use it as a starting point to brainstorm solutions, right? Just ask questions and brainstorm. And I like that. This is one thing that I do very often. I talk through things with LLMs, right? I talk about my thoughts, and I use LLMs to talk further, and then I just talk things through with LLMs. Use the LLM as a tutor to supplement your learning. They can help you understand the technology or approach you are using, discuss abstract use cases to get better answers. When starting a new creative project, such as writing a blog post or developing a marketing campaign, use an LLM to gather initial ideas and inspiration. So again, for me, this is all very self-explanatory. Treat the LLM's output as a starting point rather than a final product. Use the suggestions to brainstorm and develop your own unique ideas. So instead of relying solely on the LLM to solve the problem, use its suggestions to guide your own investigation. Take the time to understand the underlying issue. This is important. Take the time to understand the underlying issue and experiment with different solutions, right? Don't just have a question and go into it and then the LLM gives you it. No, actually try to deeply understand the underlying issues and think through things for yourself. And this is another thing, and I noticed this with so many things. When someone has a question, like my entire life, basically, what do you do when you have a question or when you ask someone a question? You go to Google. This is not the best idea. Obviously, you can Google it at one point, but it's a good idea to, before you Google something or before you ask an LLM for that matter, think about it yourself. Think about what could be possible answers. What could be possible solutions? It doesn't need to be the right answer. It doesn't need to be the right solution. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you use your brain, right? Because only things that you get used grow. If you don't use it, it will, again, you know what will happen. But moving on. Whenever you read a new journal, paper, blog, or article, use the LLM to validate your understanding by prompting it to provide feedback on your comprehension of the material. Something I do pretty often as well. LLMs are also extremely helpful for formatting already available content according to a given template or routine tasks that can be easily automated with their assistance. Reserve their use for tasks that are repetitive over time. Consuming and handle more complex or strategic tasks yourself, this balance will help you stay sharp and maintain your critical thinking skills. So use it for tasks that are very repetitive. That's always a good idea. All right. That was the last story of the day. We'll jump into the Bitcoin update shortly, but before you do that, last reminder, hey, maybe you should head over to my channel, go to community, read through this here. Theoretically, if you could ask Vita Potapova, the Hyperon project manager, any question about OpenCog Hyperon, what would you ask her? What question about Hyperon would you ask? Maybe you want to comment on that, right? Maybe you want to comment on that, theoretically, right? No promises, but maybe you want to comment on that. All right. And now let's jump into BTC. Over here. Okay, let's look at that. No, I want to be down here. All right, let's get rid of the RSI and let's move into our monthly. And I can tell you not much has changed. From what I said last week, not a lot has changed. It's basically still the same. Looks pretty bullish to me. Maybe it looks a little bit more bearish than it looked bullish, but it still looks pretty bullish to me. So actually in the monthly, we cannot see that many new things. Again, when we break this here, we will go down to the next pool of liquidity for sure. We did not reach our I need to sneeze, but I cannot. That's annoying. Anyway, we did not reach our top pool of liquidity. Like as you know, I would have loved to see this pool of liquidity reach right here, our double top up here. We did not do that. So maybe we come down before we go up first, but let's look at that. If we look at the weekly, we have our swing low over here. Nothing really happened. Compression candle, nothing here. So what we want to look out for is if we create a swing high over here. As you can see here, we made another pool of liquidity with another double top right over here. If this turns into a swing high, and this will be 2 more weeks, right? This week just started, and then next week, if next week has a lower high than this week here, this week up here, has a lower high than that, then we just created a swing high here in the weekly, and this would be kind of bearish, right? For now, we cannot say that much. We'll have to wait a little bit more, but yeah, creating a swing high in here would be kind of bearish. Going to our daily, which is, but in our daily, it's not that important, no. But you can see it here, how it's most of the time. Creating a swing low here, creating swing lows here, pretty bullish. Creating a swing high here, like a little bit bearish, right? You see how it goes down, but then it goes up again. It's okay. Then we create another swing high here. And this swing high here, bearish again. A swing high is kind of bearish. A swing high goes down. We're creating a new swing low down here. And the swing low is bullish, so it goes up. It creates another swing. This was a little bit weird, right? As you can see, a swing high. This was a bit weird. This goes here and creates another swing high right next to this. And this swing high also bearish in the daily, as you can see here. So let's see if we create another swing low in the daily. This here looks like it's swing low, right? Here's, by the way, also swing low, bullish, swing high, bearish, swing low. The close of this candle would confirm the swing low, which then would be bullish again. We would likely go up again. Yeah, so you can see how that roughly works. Swing, obviously, it's not always 100%, but roughly swing highs, bearish movement, swing lows, bullish movement. Swing high, bearish movement, swing low, bullish movement. Swing high, bearish movement, swing low, bullish movement. Yeah, and as you can see here, we have a ton of liquidity everywhere, basically everywhere. So I guess what will happen, and this is also what I said last week, is for me the most likely scenario that will happen is something like this. Run out liquidity here, go down here, run out liquidity here, go up here, run out liquidity here, create more liquidity here, go down here, run out liquidity here, run out liquidity here, run out liquidity here, and just, you know, sideways action basically. Sideways action, running out liquidity, basically fucking up people left and right and everybody who is in the market, unless you know how to play liquidity. Yeah, let's jump into our 15-minute, and I like to make this clear, as I always do. So, as you can see here, this is the play that I made today. Again, not a big move, because today is also a Fed day, I believe. So I shouldn't have been in the market at all. I was on the market in the morning where there wasn't a meeting. But yeah, as you can see here, up here, we have a double top created. So if we create a double top, we usually come down. I did not play this because we did not run. No, actually, as a matter of fact, I played this because we had a double top right here, right? When liquidity is run out, I usually delete it. I forget it here. But yeah, we had a double top right here. So what happened? We had a double top right here. We dropped into liquidity down here. And then we came up and run out the double top. And when we run out the double top, what did I do? Right here, I went short. And I took my short. Where's my tool? My tool's over here. And I took my short down here, right? And I wrote it all the way back up here. Where did I don't know where I fully got in. But yeah, I played 200x leverage, and I pay myself once I reach 100%. So this would be 0.5% as 100% with 200x leverage. So I know that, yeah, I did not quite get my 100% here. Yeah, so I moved in right somewhere around here into my short. So yeah, I wrote it all the way back up, because I know that usually I can almost always pay myself. It's okay if I lose some trades, because I just need to win more than I lose to be profitable, and I just need to play my model, and that's it. Over time, I am profitable, right? So yeah, I wrote it then all the way back down here, and I paid myself over here, where I had the 100%. As you can see, we created more liquidity down here. And what happened? We came back up, we run out this double top. This here would have been actually maybe a good trigger to go long, but yeah, it's also not quite, because we did not run out liquidity. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, running up here, running out this double top, this here would actually be another bearish signal, right? This is another signal for me to go short. Now I missed this one. We dug kind of deep, which can happen, which is okay. But yeah, you usually then go long somewhere over here when it comes down as short. So yeah, this would have been another 100% easily. Yeah, but I missed this trade here. But we can delete this liquidity, and as you can see here, we just formed another double top. So we'll watch that for liquidity as well as this here. This is also something I don't really like that much when this is so close together, because I usually like to wait for it to run out both, right? When it runs out here, yeah, I might jump in, but I'll expect to add over here. Oof, as you can see, man, we run out liquidity, we create a double top, and we come down. It works like clockwork. We will likely come down into this pool of liquidity right over here, and then reverse and come back up. We might not, but this is how I would play it. And I would have probably jumped in if I would have traded this right over here, and then again hold it for until I am 100% positive. Then I take my partial right around here, and then I leave my runner to this pool of liquidity. Good. This is how I trade Bitcoin. If you want to know more about this, if you want to talk with me about trading, if you want to talk with me about other things, if you want to talk about me, what questions you maybe have about OpenCog Hyperon for the OpenCog Hyperon community lead and development manager, you might want to check out my Discord, right? It's in the description. Check out my Discord, jump in there. There we can talk about everything that your heart desires, about AI, about blockchain, about neuroplasticity, about OpenCog Hyperon, about trading, about crypto, about whatever you want. Literally about whatever you want, but likely more AI crypto stuff. And I'll see you over there. Shout out to everybody watching. Shout out for spending your Wednesday here with me. Your very beautiful, very, very nice Wednesday. I would have liked to spend it outside as well, but I like it even more to spend it with you here, my community. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll see all of you next Wednesday. Bye, guys.